thank you for your time. I know you are so busy. The last open practice, you had rounds of applause and ovation from all the fans who came out here. What kind of camp you're running here, Coach?
I think it's been, I don't want to say it's been a tough camp. I just, it's all kind of relative. You know, when I say to the players, you know, look, I know some of you are getting tired. We still have 2 more weeks where we're going. Certainly, is it different from a year ago? I'm sure it is. And yet, you know, with the rule changes, you know, you're out here for 2.5 hours and then you have a PM walkthrough. So I think we're getting a lot covered. I think it's been physical. I think we've been in full pads quite a bit. Today we were in pads. But I think to some degree you have to, in order to play football, you have to learn to carry the pads, and, you know, it's a physical game.
I keep hearing the word tempo out of your mouth. Tempo, tempo, tempo. Why is that so important to you right now?
I think for us, we do a lot of substitutions offensively. And the other thing is, if you're going to go to the line of scrimmage like so many teams do in our league with a couple choices, you know, you want to have 14 seconds and not 7 seconds. So giving the quarterback more time at the line to get us in and out of the right play, I think that's important when we do that. And I think it's a way, it's always been a way where you can stress the defense, and we've always looked at it that way.
Okay, love having you here on the show. If you guys have comments, at Up and Adam Show on YouTube. This is streaming live for the first time. It's the first time that you were our first guest
YouTube?
on the show.
Yes, I remember.
Look, I'm still here somehow.
Right? And you got microphones with your name on it and everything?
It's all really fancy. I think all of the fans here were like, oh, they're Broncos colors. And I said, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Is that coincidence?
I don't know. Listen, speaking of fashion, I thought you were going to wear the old orange Michael Jordans here. What's going on?
Every day is a different pair. I put on just some white 11s. They're pretty clean. The problem is I've got, anytime you leave a place after 16 years, you have so much gear with black and gold colors. And so I'm kind of building up a little bit of navy and orange now. Our equipment guys do a great job taking care of us. And then, we'll have some good kicks on for game days.
There's like a shoe that's dropping or soming, I hear,
I don't know if it's dropping.
I haven't seen Michael Jordan around here. I saw little Jordan Humphreys running off the field, but yeah.
Yeah, that's little Jordan.
Yeah, you've got that connection. I was looking at the jerseys here, and I looked it up while I was watching practice from the air-conditioned facility inside, which was choice and very nice. 1995, I think, 97, the last time the jerseys changed. I know they're very excited about the whiteout helmet and the snow caps and all that, but updates to the jersey, would you like to see that? 95, 97, 195? 97's a long time ago.
I honestly, this is one of those, I think, iconic franchises. And I say that when you're in there, you see the Super Bowls, the Super Bowl banners, the playoffs, and the history.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist, you know. And so I think the uniforms are fantastic. And if they pull out a whiteout or something,
you're into it.
I just, whatever, as long as the players are good with it, I'll just say check with the captains. I'm fine.
Well, the Broncos are implementing that twice a year and some changes, and obviously like this whole team has changed in a 180 way since last year. What is the Sean Payton implementation that you were most proud of so far?
Well, I think the most important start is hiring a good staff. And all those years in New Orleans, and I've said this a number of times, man, I was, really fortunate to have great coaches in a number of different roles around me. We're watching Dan Campbell have success in Detroit. I'm proud of him,
I bet.
And Doug Marrone went off, became a head coach. Dennis Allen's now a head coach. Watching guys that came up just like all of us did, and watching them get into that position. And I think this staff has got a number of bright young coaches that have a future of possibly being a head coach. And then we've got some veteran coaches that I think have really helped us. So hiring the staff and getting that right, it took a while. And it's not easy anymore, because if they're under contract, there's certain things you can and can't do. But we were able to put together a good staff, and then keep finding the right players to bring into the building, that fit kind of what you're looking for. And then the players that are here, these guys have been responding really well. So it's tough. It's training camp, and yet I do feel like it's a group that's very, very hungry and anxious to play well.
Yeah, I mean, they're exhausted walking off this field. Coach, I've been to like 8 training camps. This is definitely, these guys are, this is not a cupcake
It's different, yeah.
training camp, I would say.
No.
Good for you.
Yeah, I just, look, and as we get closer to the regular season, we'll have our legs back and we'll be smart. But I do think we need to build a little callus, getting ready for the season, and that's what we're trying to do.
You're doing that in training camp and then preseason. Like, you're running these guys.
100%.
But you were honest about how much work needed to be done. So Russell Wilson was out there. He looked great on first down. I think the second and third down numbers were a little left to the imagination. What are we looking forward to here?
I just answered that question in the media. I think that all right, what are we looking for in week 2? They're going to play more snaps. I want to see us a little bit better on third down. We had a couple missed field goals. We scored a touchdown, but a little bit more consistent up front. And I'd like us to see us run the ball a little bit more effectively. San Francisco, after their first preseason game, I'm sure they've had a tough week of practice knowing Kyle, and they'll want to respond the right way. So, there are so many different things you're looking at in a preseason game. We've identified a number of young players that we want to see. At some point, these guys all have to find advocates to the roster, whether it's the special teams coaches, the offense or defense. And, every preseason I've been involved with, younger players will step up, will block a punt, return a kick. They'll do something to really make you rethink and sometimes make a decision for you. And so hopefully we get to see some of that.
Can you take me into where the relationship is between you and Russell Wilson and how it's evolving? You have a quarterback who's paid a lot of money. He's very famous. He has pedigree. He's won a championship. He's done a lot in this league. Those, to me, would be the quarterbacks that would be the most difficult to coach. Why are you the perfect coach for Russell Wilson?
I think, look, we competed, our teams in Seattle, just for whatever reason, it seemed like played a number of important games in years past. We coached a number of those guys in the Pro Bowl back in Florida, I want to say 6 years ago. So Russ was one of the quarterbacks. And I think, look, when the common goal from certain players and coaches and the group is the same as to win and to win at a high level, then it's easy. Now, the work is difficult, but he's been fantastic. He's one of the first ones here. He'll be one of the last ones to leave. He'll step in my office. We'll talk about, a package on offense, all of those things. And I think that, there were 16, 15 years where I was with Drew, and then the last year with Jameis and a number of other.
Jameis looked great before his – I couldn't wait to see what you were going to do with Jameis.
Well, and so coming here, there are a lot of work ethic similarities. Now, they don't play exactly the same, and that's fine. But I would say, it's been really good. He's in great shape. He's down like 15 pounds, Russell is.
Yeah.
And
what does that mean to you? What do you want? What do I need to know?
One of the things he does well is, a lot of the off-schedule plays. Something breaks down, he can escape and then keep a play alive. He does that extremely well. And obviously, with the shape he's in now, I mean, if you're going to do that and run, he was always a threat to run, and so I think that we're kind of seeing that what we were used to. These last 2 weeks have been really good for him. I mean, he's really been on point.
We love to hear. I'm so excited to hear that. What do you guys talk about that isn't a package or football? I'm like obsessed with your relationship.
Corny stuff. Listen, I give him a hard time. I like to be sarcastic and make fun, and so I think he's figuring me out a little bit.
Well, you're like a pirate, and he's like a Boy Scout. So what do you two talk about? Do you have a swear jar now?
We don't
what's
talk
happening?
about pirate or Boy Scout stuff. We talk about like common interests.
Is there a common interest you can tell me?
I think we talk about his family. We talk about my family. We talk about.
You went on a double date with Russell and Sierra?
He likes, honestly, he asks a lot of questions about Drew. He asks a lot of questions about the offense. And I would say this, and this is a really good trait for any player, but he really, really wants to please. And he wants, just like Drew or just like Kamara or Cortland or these really good players, offensively or defensively, they want you to say wow at practice, and he's that way. And so, it's important when you see something that's kind of rare that you tell them, holy cow, like that was really good. Yeah, we talk about a lot of things.
Did you talk about how this team has not beaten the Chiefs since 2015? And they're going up against a quarterback you've said a lot of nice things over the years.
Yeah.
But you did take Brady down twice a year most years as the coach of the Saints,
I
so
think,
I'm not worried.
it's not this team. The teams of the past haven't. We've got a lot of respect for Andy. I've known Andy for a long time, certainly the Chiefs and what they've accomplished. And quite honestly, in our league, it's always funny how the first goal is to win the division. And so, in New Orleans back then it was Tampa Bay, and we had to figure out a way to – and so – the Raiders, the Chargers, the Broncos, all of us are trying to get to that spot. And look, I think we play them this year twice within like a 3 or 4 week period. We play them on the road. We have a game, and I think we play them real quickly again. But honestly, that seems like a long time away. Now, we've spent time on film with our division opponents, but I would say the focus right now is a little bit more inward, like directly with what we're doing. But yeah, they're listen. The last regular season game I was at was the Super Bowl, with Fox, and watching it right there on the field and watching, how those guys played.
Well, speaking of Fox, I was with this man named Rob Gronkowski yesterday, your former coworker.
You were with Rob.
I was, and he
I was disappointed that I was waiting for that answer to be not Daboll,
well,
but Payton.
Would you like to address it? He said Daboll's the only coach that he could get to come out of retirement.
I heard it. He didn't say the only. He said he's the only coach if he would. But right after that, he said, but I'm not and I can't. But so it was this big hypothetical 20-minute segment on Up and Adams.
Why don't you give Dulcich some love here? He looked good out there today.
He's doing really well.
Hey, we don't need you, Gronk. Why don't you just go to the Giants, stay on the East Coast? He had a question for you.
What's up, Coach? Sean Payton. It's your favorite co-analyst, Rob Gronkowski. It was a pleasure working with you last year on Fox, and I got a question for you. What's it like coming out of retirement, and do you think that year off is helping you this year as well?
Do you consider it retirement? Start there. Did you retire?
No, it was a year off.
Okay.
But
can you re-rack that?
It does kind of recharge the batteries, and you have so much golf and things you want to do, and I love working at Fox, and Gronk was the best. He hooked me up with some really nice shoes. He's got all these deals. He's got more deals.
He was complaining to me about rent prices in LA. I was like, what's happening here?
He's got more deals.
He's amazing.
Anyway, it was good working with those guys, and I really enjoyed Rob. But I would say the year away, you are able to hit some checklist stuff. I had a daughter got married. Connor is a senior now at TCU. I got a chance to jump on that train and watch those guys play well, see games, and do some things. And then there's that point where you have more left, and every day you it's like the racetrack is off in the distance. You can smell the gasoline, you see the lights.
You got itchy.
You hear the cars running, and not right at that moment, but at some point you're going to head back.
Did you evolve at all? Like most people, I would think you step away, you become more woosah. I got to tell you, Coach, you were like, rolling in $250K into the locker room, doing dances with brooms, all that, and now you're like, get off my lawn, don't wear bucket hats, don't wear sun. Like, what's going on with you?
Listen, it was.
What happened to you, Coach?
Nothing. It's the same. I think. If I look back in 06, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's certain things clearly I approach differently now. The number one thing would be you learn to preserve your battery life a little more. You have so much battery life like a video game. And so you learn to ignore some of the stuff that doesn't matter that I didn't when I was younger. Like all of it was – but there still is and are your instincts of what you think it takes to be successful, and you pay close attention to those. And so your personality doesn't change. Do I worry as much about things from a long time ago? Probably not the same way. I'm probably easier to deal with a little bit. And yet,
okay.
No, but
Coach, you're the best.
I think that I think we're still in a passion business. And so Bill used to say this all the time, Parcells. We're looking for passionate coaches. We're looking for passionate players. It's hard to be really good at this if you're not passionate. It really is. And so, who are those people when it comes to the 53 we always talk about the 53, but the right 53.
Right.
You know, what's the makeup of that 53, and not sacrificing your ideals or what you believe is right relative to that roster. That won't change.
Yeah. I love that answer. Just a couple more things. I know you're super busy. We thank you for your time. Yeah. This whole bucket hat thing, you have to address it somehow. I'm telling.
So it's no. It's not. I love bucket hats in the sun. We were just playing inside at Arizona, and so
you used to wear visors in a Superdome. Like, was the
good
sun
with
bothering
all
you
of
then?
it.
I don't
almost
understand.
wore a bucket hat today. I'm comfortable with the bucket hat, and honestly, I think that it's kind of explaining to these guys, at least during the game. I think when guys are playing, I just said it, you know, it might not be the most important game for some players, but it's the most important game in the world for others. And so I like the fact that they're into the game, and I think that's important.
I do want you to know that I, the investigative reporter, Walter Cronkite, that I am, reached out to Megan Payton. And I said, does this man own bucket hats? And she went and did some work for us. I just want you to know that will be. You have two. They're both white.
They're both white.
We have them on camera.
Come on.
She went to your house and took pictures and photos with them.
All right, I get it. No sunglasses, no interviews on the field during preseason, no bucket hats. But I'm a little confused. I'm at your house right now. Why did I find these? This one's also yours.
So we have a bucket hat that we've given to lots of coaches. I've sent you. I mean, Kevin James, who played you in a Netflix movie. I want to play a game with you, and I want to see if you're down. Are you a gamer? Are you competitive at all, Coach?
Yeah, I'm competitive.
You're kind
I
of
don't
a
know
wallflower.
that I'm a gamer.
Okay, a game. Here's the game. It's a trivia about your life, your NFL life. Okay.
All right.
And what are we doing? If you get 3 right, you don't have to wear the bucket hat. If you don't get 3 right, we get a selfie of you in the bucket hat.
Perfect.
Okay.
Selfie?
A selfie.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, here it is. Ready? You threw 1 career interception during your time as a quarterback in Chicago. Who picked you off?
Who are the New Orleans Saints?
No, who specifically?
Oh, I don't know the player.
You don't have a player? You're such a spot. Really? Okay, well, you
last
got it wrong.
pass of my career, it went to the Saints right corner.
Saints DB Reggie Sutton.
Yep.
Yeah, that was him. Okay, well, 1 wrong. Yay! Your first official.
Who was Favre's last interception against?
Why would I know?
It was the Saints right corner.
Was it?
Tracy Porter.
Well, Tracy Porter. Well, you don't get extra.
You're wearing the bucket
credit.
hat.
No. Your first official game as an NFL OC was the legendary Thunder and Lightning game with the 2000 NFC champion Giants. How many touchdowns did Tiki and Rondane combine for?
Thunder and Lightning Cardinals game. That was week 1, 2000. That's the year we go to the Super Bowl. I bet those two had 3 combined.
3 combined. But here's my real question. What were you doing during the 23-minute weather delay? I bet you were a joy to be around.
I remember it was lightning. And look, we had kind of come up with this.
Out.
We come up with this package just to get the right backs on the field, and then those two started selling T-shirts, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, you didn't check with
Really?
There was no." So those were fun guys to coach.
Okay, 1-1. In 2006, you were named Coach of the Year with an astounding 88% of the vote. Who finished second?
What was the year?
2006.
2006.
You want
I'm
the
going
bucket
to say
hat. You want the bucket hat.
I'm going to say Lovie Smith.
No, Eric Mangini.
Really?
Got 6% of the vote. Why does this man only have 1 Coach of the Year? I don't know. That's the dumbest thing I've read in a long time. Bonus question, which current NFL head coach won Defensive Rookie of the Year that same award season?
Which current NFL head coach won Defensive Rookie of the Year that same
must
season?
Make you feel, that makes me feel old.
Holy cow. Don't.
Do you know it?
D'Amico Ryan.
That wasn't one for that. Don't worry. That was one of the questions.
I was just going the route of the Campbell or the Vrabels. D'Amico was very good. Drafted by Houston.
Crazy
I remember him well.
Crazy. You faced your mentor, Bill Parcells, once.
Sunday Night Football, the first flex game ever.
2006, first year as head coach in New Orleans. You wiped the floor with his Cowboys. Do you remember the final score?
Yeah, 40-something to 20-something.
That's not it.
30-something to 20-something.
You don't care about scores of games that
much?
much?
No, it was pretty.
You beat you mentioned Parcells 9 times a day. You beat him.
It was one of those games where everything went right. We onside kicked in the third quarter.
I know, but I'm shocked that you don't know the score.
I don't know the score of that game.
41-17.
I said 40-something to 20-something,
no.
so I was
Drew Brees,
off.
It doesn't count. He threw for 384, 5 touchdowns. What Parcells
You ready?
did you after that one?
We had a fullback catch 3 of them in that game.
You're not getting points
like
for
his
this.
parents were going crazy. He never caught touchdowns.
You
Mike
engineered one of the most stunning upsets in playoff history in 2000 with the Giants calling the plays for that 41-0 blowout against the Vikings, and everyone was saying the Vikings were going to win that NFC title game. Who scored the first touchdown for you?
Ike Hilliard, all go special.
That was the play call?
Yeah, and then they fumbled the kickoff, and we scored on the next play, and that would have been Greg Camella, K4 solid F wheel.
Okay, last one. Ready? Mm-hmm. Your first win as a head coach. There's Russell Wilson. There's
Regular
Russell
season?
Wilson. Your first win as a head coach at Mile High didn't come until 2020, Coach.
I know.
In the infamous Kendall Hinton game,
I know.
the guy who wore that cable knit sweater, the cream one. I remember that sweater very much from this post game. Your Saints won 31-3. Did the two teams combine for over or under 100 yards passing in that game?
Over 100 yards passing.
Under. Ha! We
Under.
won.
We had-
91. Him and Taysom. I just scared Coach.
We have.
Coach Vin, calm
Here's
down.
what I remember about that game.
Woo!
We had a
Tell
lot
me.
of cardboard fans. You know what they did during COVID? They set the cardboard fans in the end zone.
What a time to live through.
And so coming off the field, I was on Taysom about, hey, there's only one way we lose this game. And I remember in pregame looking over, and I'm watching Kendall, and I've kidded him about it. And he's throwing routes to receivers on air, and like 4 of them just skidded in the grass. And I just turned to Taysom. I said, you better not throw an interception in this game. The only way we lose. But I was asked my thoughts after the game, and I said, this is a game where I think we should give the cardboard figures their money back. It was just there was no quarterbacks for Denver.
At some point, you have to have a podcast. You do realize.
Yeah.
How about your own daughter going and doing my dirty work?
She's like
Megan.
She's doing a bunch of work now.
She is. She's over with us at FanDuel. We
Right.
love it.
I'm excited
All right,
for
I'm
her.
just going to put this on your head, and then
All
we'll
right.
go to break.
Here we go.
Are we getting go grab your quarterback, Coach? Oh, this is a good look. All right. Look at this. You're like a regular Indiana Jones.
There we
What's
go.
the Gilligan's Island song?
Here we go.
Can you sing it? What is it?
I don't know the Gilligan song.
Ginger?
Perfect.
She was pretty. Who's the other one?
Marianne.
Marianne, yeah. That you knew. That detail, weirdly, Coach remembered. We'll be back on Up and Adams.
All right.
Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest Up and Adams content right on YouTube.